Thanks again for joining me for Katy's Corner. It is such an honor and privilege to be here with the chairman of our board of directors, John Shoemaker. John, thank you for agreeing to speak with me.
You're very welcome.
Can you tell everybody what it means to be the chairman of our board and what it means to be a board member?
Sure. Well, it's actually an interesting and slightly different perspective than when you're an executive, in that you have dual responsibilities. One is to obviously perform governance functions and ensure that the company is being managed correctly and is meeting all the legal and other constraints that are placed on a public corporation. But at the same time, you're a member of the team, so you want to help, and you want to help drive the company to success. So you're constantly at that kind of balanced position.
Yeah, and you have a lot of experience being on public company boards, right?
Yeah, I do. I was chairman of the board of Sonic Wall for 5 or 6 years, and we ended up taking that private. Then I was chairman at Altera, a non-gov comp committee, and we ended up selling that company to Intel at the end of 2015. I've been on Extreme board for...
That was my next question.
Yeah, 11 or I don't know, a long time.
And you've seen some incredible changes, right? Really
Absolutely,
positive changes.
yeah. And Extreme at this moment is by far in the best position I have ever seen it in.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you love most about Extreme?
I love the enthusiasm, the management team, the positive attitude, and I am very impressed by the capability of all the top executives.
Great. So before you became a board member, you were in management yourself. So
Right.
can you tell us a little bit about what you did and where you were?
Sure. Well, I'm old, so I did a lot of stuff. But I started out at IBM, data processing sales. Yeah, this is the old days of mainframes. That was interesting and very different. Then I actually switched and I went into aerospace defense, General Dynamics, and I did the integrated planning for the F-111 airplane that went over to Vietnam, and
wow.
Unfortunately they all crashed, which didn't go well. Then I joined Xerox, and I was there 20 years, and I was head of worldwide marketing for Xerox, and then I ran all the non-copier business units, so electronic printing, document systems, Palo Alto Research Center, all those areas.
Right. And then you were after that?
After that, I went to Sun Microsystems for 15 years. My first job there, I was Vice President of Finance for worldwide operations. I was promoted to be responsible for worldwide operations, so that's all of manufacturing, logistics, distribution,
right.
so forth. And then in the last 5 years or 6 years I was there, I was Executive Vice President of Computer Systems.
Wow.
So all of the business units reported to me, and I also had the microelectronics division, which was the development of SPARC reduced instruction set microprocessors, which we use to drive our servers and workstations, and also I was Chief Quality Officer for the company.
And you saw incredible growth at Sun when you were there, right?
It was really interesting. When I got to Xerox, it was under $1 billion. When I left, it was $25 billion.
Wow.
When I got to Sun, it was under $1 billion. When I left, it was $25 billion.
So there's hope for us.
Absolutely. So we are now north of $1 billion, so we're on our way.
We're on our way.
We're on our way. They're actually, from my comment, I really see a lot of analogies between Extreme Networks and Sun. Sun was basically in a niche market, technical workstations, and about a $15 billion total market size. And then we branched out and we went into the enterprise and the commercial market and so forth, and suddenly it was a huge market, but we were the smallest player.
Right.
So Extreme today has, Cisco and Juniper and HP. We had IBM, HP, and so forth, and they constantly attacked and said, well, why would you go to Sun? They're just this little niche player and so forth. And in the end, we became the #1 company in the space. And I can see the same kind of thing beginning to occur here at Extreme. It can happen.
Right, that's great. That's really good to hear, because I think that sometimes our employees look at board members and they don't have context that you actually did all of this. You've been there for all, you've seen it, so you can see the path.
To the employees, you have a very experienced board here, and people who have been very successful and have had to fight through some tough times in companies, not just good times, and they are adding a lot of value. And I think Ed and Norm and the team have been great in reaching out, and we feel like we have strong relationships, and they take advantage of us.
Right. So aside from the work, you've also you've balanced an incredible home life. So I happen to know, but maybe some people would like to know about your daughters and your incredible wife, and then you have grandchildren. So tell us about what everybody does.
This is my favorite topic.
Great.
So I have 2 daughters, Cynthia and Megan. Cynthia is a pediatrician who, mid-career about 5 years ago, went back, decided she didn't want to be a clinician. She went to graduated with honors from Wellesley in organic chemistry, and then top of her class at Albert Einstein Medical School. Did 2 internships, one in pathology and one in pediatrics. Set up the pediatric ER at Staten Island Hospital, went into private practice, decided she'd like to climb up into management in the medical field. Went back to Kelly, Indiana University, got her MBA, graduated about 3 years ago. Since then, she's joined a startup called PM Pediatrics Children's Urgent Care Centers, and she's now running a whole region. And she's absolutely loving it.
She's a superstar, and she has how many children?
And she has 4 children.
Amazing.
2 or 3 of whom were born while she was in medical school.
Wow.
One of my favorite stories is Donna, my wife, was there helping her when she was in the middle of medical school, and a tough stretch.
Right.
And Rivka, the oldest daughter, came into the kitchen, or came into the living room and said, "Oh, Mommy's home." And my wife Donna said, "No, she's not. She's at the hospital."
Yeah.
And she said, "No, she's home." And they walked into the kitchen, and Cynthia was sound asleep on the kitchen floor with a piece of pizza, cold pizza, in her mouth with the door open. So
wow.
That's what it's like. That's what it's like to have.
Have all those
have
children.
all the children and have all that responsibility.
That's amazing.
So I admire my daughters.
Yeah. And your other daughter?
My other daughter, Megan, is actually called me last night, and she's doing her final oral defense for her Master's in Fine Arts at Rochester Institute of Technology. She also has a Master's in entrepreneurship from there and a Bachelor's in medical illustration. And she's doing a startup, a mobile app to help people who have depression. When they begin to feel themselves going into it, they can use their phone, can walk through a series of instructions to help them pull themselves out of that.
Wow.
She's also has a web-based medical illustration business, and she's married. She doesn't have any children, but she has 2 dogs and 3 cats. So.
Gosh. Well, clearly your daughters, you and Donna were very supportive of them.
And I should comment on Donna.
Yeah, comment on Donna.
Donna is amazing. I would not be where I am without her. I'd probably be dead 5 times by now. She tends to help me from doing really stupid things. And she is an incredible person. She's has a master's from Stanford, and she has taught kindergarten to migrant workers in the mid area around Shell Beach in that area of California. She's taught in Europe and different places. She then did 15 years at the LA Times, read display advertising, helped convert the LA Times from typewriters to a network, which was a challenge because reporters are not big on doing that.
Right.
And then she's vice president of the Stanford Community Committee for International Students, and she's one of the strong leaders. We have 300 volunteers there. We help international students when they first arrive, and
And
we have
you
many
host them
programs.
sometimes at your
Yeah,
home,
we host
right?
them, we pick them up at the airport, and they live with us, and we kind of get them oriented, and then they're there as kind of a resource for them during their 2 to 5 year stay generally. And we just finished, Donna and I just finished during a philanthropy committee. We raised 17 to $18 million. We just cut the ribbon on the new mental health building at El Camino Hospital.
Wow.
World class, 57,000 square feet. El Camino has some of the finest outpatient behavioral programs in the country, you know, period. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah.
We do a lot of work with UCSF, prostate cancer outreach. And I'm on 4 or 5 advisory boards at Indiana University, and also a trustee at Hanover College. And so we keep busy.
Yeah. Well, there's so much to learn from you, from our employees' perspective. One of the things that we talk about a lot at Extreme is promoting women, and clearly you have done that in your career, and you have these incredible daughters and a wife that you support very much, who also supports you. So if you were going to give some advice to our female employees, what would it be?
Well, first of all, I would just comment that I'm very excited about what's happening here right now. And I think hopefully most people know at this point, we've modified the charter of the Nom-Gov committee to add diversity and more of a focus on social programs and what Extreme can do, you know, beyond the typical traditional focused business mission. And I'm already seeing, you know, the changes that are occurring. Suddenly people are beginning to realize that this is not just it can't ever be a bottoms only thing. It's got to be top down, and whether it's any cultural change, whether it's, you know, quality or diversity or whatever, top management has to lead it and has to walk the talk. And I think Ed is a huge believer. I'm a huge believer. I'm not aware of anybody that isn't very supportive. It's going to be a hard, you know, a long, hard thing. It's a fundamental cultural change.
Yeah.
But I think we're doing the right things,
Yeah.
and I'm 100% behind it.
And if you were going to give one piece of advice to our up and coming women,
you know, I would say, do a really great job at what you're doing.
that's great advice.
Just show through your performance that you are qualified and you are ready now, you know, for promotion. Try to map a career path where you don't get yourself too narrowly focused and go what I call stovepipe. Don't go up vertically too far.
Right.
Get a broader set of experiences so that you'll end up being more highly qualified for more senior jobs. Take a longer term perspective on your career.
Wow.
Don't get discouraged when some tactical thing doesn't go right, because that's the way life is. You don't go like this in life, you know, you go like this and then you end up here. So
That's great.
and talk to people. Don't you know, if you have a question, if you have a concern, if you have a problem, nobody will know that if you don't speak to them.
Right.
You know, I always like to say, and this is true whether it's female or male, but 90% of the communications in most corporations is downward, and 90% of the knowledge is at the bottom.
Right.
So we need to get more upward communications going on,
Right.
and more of an open culture.
Right. Great. That's really helpful, John. I think I'm so honored that you had the time to talk with me, and I think people are really going to enjoy the interview. So
Great.
thank you very much.
You're
really
very welcome. I
appreciate
enjoyed
it.
doing it.
John Shoemaker, our chairman. Thanks.
Bye.